Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a review of this new headphone that came out by Beyerdynamic. It's called the Beyerdynamic DT270 Pro Compact. I zoomed out the camera a little bit because it is actually a little bit smaller than other headphones. And I'll go ahead and do a more extensive review on this and to go from there. I'm not sponsored by Beyerdynamic. I bought this with my own money because I was actually pretty curious, and I actually really do have a fascination with like studio headphones. So yeah. This is how so let's just do some quick comparisons. So size-wise, this is how it compares, let's say, to the Audio-Technica M50X, right? So as you can see, it's a little bit smaller than the M50X. However, the M50X can fold in, whereas this can't, right? This is how it compares to the Shure 8040A. As you can see, it's a lot smaller than that, right? And then this is how it compares to the Sony MDR7506. So it's around the size of an MDR7506, and then obviously, it's a lot. Now, this one I have is modded, so you're not actually able to do that. But it's still the same. And then this is how it compares to the Audio-Technica AKG K371. So it's a little bit smaller than that, but obviously what this can do is that it can fold in and be more compact when needed, and then the cable can come out, whereas this cannot do that. So it's too bad that this couldn't fold in. But that being said, let's go ahead and go over the sound and go from there. Okay, so before I go on further, I don't use technical terms when I review headphones, but I review headphones in a way that anybody can understand. I draw inspiration from a guy named Tyle Hertzens.
Tyle at Inner Fidelity here. Today we're going to talk
reviews. He reviews things and explains things in a way that anyone can understand, right? So, okay. So the first song I always test out is the same song. It's Weekends by BB. And I like that song because the bass goes boom, 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 and it lets me know what kind of bass is coming from the headphone. So right off the bat, the bass there's a lot of bass. It's like plentiful, but it's a bit muddled. It's not clean and punchy. But her vocals, the singer's vocals, BB's vocals, they sound accurate and full, but it's tilting warmer. So the overall tonality seems to be leaning warmer and more natural. These kind of remind me a little bit of the Shure 8040A. So this one's kind of tilted more warmer. So if I had to do comparisons, this is definitely warmer compared to the Sony MDR7506. So these are warmer than the MDR7506. This has a little bit less clarity compared to the Audio-Technica AKG K371. And this is more natural sounding, less V-shaped sounding compared to the M50X. Okay, so next I do the second test. So the second test is a song. It's called All Tinted, and it's by Wolf Tila. That song has so much sub bass in it, so it lets me know what kind of sub bass is in this song.
Let the music play.
It lets me know if the sub bass is polite, or if it's correct, or if it's Dr. Dre sort of sub bass. So when I actually wear this and listen, the sub bass is correct. It's not polite, it's not exaggerated, but I've noticed the vocals are tilting a little bit warm. So her voice is a little bit warm with a smooth rounding effect. And I said at this price point, which is around $150 or so, I would definitely recommend this over the M50X. I would say I would prefer this over the M50X. I would prefer it over the 7506, although the 7506 is cheaper. And I would prefer it over the M40X. But I think where there's competition still is with the AKG K371. They both because this sounds really good, and you can get this for around $130. This is also comfortable too, but this also can get really compact if needed. And so it's a tough call, and they're both good. Like, in other words, I wouldn't say this blows this away or that blows this away. They're kind of on par. But yeah, we'll keep going. The next song I test is a bunch of songs by Genevieve. And the reason I do that is because she's my favorite singer. So basically, I know when something is wrong or if something's good. So what I notice is the vocals are full. They're very full. Definitely, it's tilting warmer, right? And so these sound genuinely great, very comfortable. I was wearing this the whole time. Very, very comfortable headphones. And I noticed these are smaller than the DT770s. Now, the funny thing is I used to have the DT770, but I gave it away. But I remember the DT770 being a little harsh at like sharp peaks. And this one has none of that, for better or for worse. And I'll explain more about that later on. Okay, next song I check is the song XG New Dance, and I like using that song because there's 5 girls in that song, and so I can be like, does she sound okay? Does she sound okay? Does she sound okay? Does she sound okay? So by the time this is done, I've already looked at 8 people and checked all of their voices, and I know if something's wrong. So when I checked, I noticed that the instruments in the song are a little bit warmer than usual. The vocals are full and natural. And as I'm listening to this more, I'm trying to think, what would I call this? And I think tonality-wise, this is a U-shaped sort of headphone. In other words, a little bit of treble, and a little bit of bass and a little bit of treble, but not V-shaped. But I wouldn't call it flat. It's a little bit U-shaped, which is actually good. I do find some of the best sounding headphones I like are actually more U-shaped sounding. And I said Hinata's voice has a little bit of warmth, Yuria's voice are accurate, and Harvey's rap section, there's another thing too, there's this one rap section in that song, and I want to see if the rap section sounds like powerful, and it's got great impact. So overall, these headphones got like very musical in the way they sound. Okay, next song. So it's this song by Justin Bieber. I've done this in like 70 different like IEM reviews so far, but it's just basically, it's a reference at this point. It's a corny song, but what I like about it is you see him walking through a kitchen, then you see violins all over the place, then you see people clanking glasses, you hear a lady eating fries, you hear bass coming. It's like everything in one test. So that's why I keep using it, because it's such a great test. So basically, when I listen with this, the Soundstage, it's good Soundstage. Like, it's picking up everything, the violins, the area, really great. Justin's voice sounds about half an octave deeper. So he sounds a little bit deeper, slightly. Yeah, you got that yummy. A little bit more chesty. It sounds like he's singing through, okay, so I said Warren 47 Jr. or Baby Blue Bottom. In other words, his voice sounds a little bit deeper, is what I'm saying. It's very flattering, but I wouldn't say it's inaccurate. It's just basically his voice just sounds a little bit deeper, right? Slightly. And I say the bass in the background, everything's like accurate. It doesn't sound Beats by Dre bassy. It doesn't sound pansy, like weak, like kind of like a Moondrop headphone. This is like, it sounds like correct. Everything sounds like, oh, this sounds good. The other thing too, so overall it's natural, it's musical, and it's cohesive. Okay. Next song is another test track I do. It's a song by Chris Brown. And the reason I like doing that is because there's a car that drives by, like a car that goes vroom. And then you see like also this lady yelling at him and like throwing shit off a freaking balcony. Why my stuff, for real? And all his clothes are falling down, and then she's like yelling at him. It's really good for Soundstage. And so what I said was the Soundstage is actually really good. It's really wide and detailed. And again, I said his voice, it's leaning like a little bit deeper, slightly deeper. So this is definitely leaning warmer. And kind of has a little bit chest resonance. And I'm going to say this in a corny way. Hear me out. When I say chest resonance, it'd be like, okay, this is me talking normally, like, hey, how's it going? And then this is chest resonance, like, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? It has more of that in this with his voice, okay? Okay, so another thing that I thought was kind of interesting is when he starts coming in and he starts like singing and it's chorus. Usually what happens is with cheaper headphones I've tested, the bass usually goes and covers his voice. This is the opposite, for better or for worse. What's now happening in this is that his voice is front and center, and then the instruments are like in the background. You can barely hear the instruments, so his voice is coming up and center. So there's that. Okay, so that's that. So what we can determine so far is the bass is not clean and punchy, but there's a lot of bass. The second thing is the sub bass is accurate. Sub bass is correct. It's not polite. It's correct. Female vocals are nice and full and accurate, and then male vocals are nice and full, but a little bit pitched lower. They sound slightly deeper. You know what I mean? Okay, so next, let's go over the Sibilance Test. So what I do is I go through a set of tracks that are extremely sibilant. These are not subjectively sibilant. These are sibilance. And so
Gotta go somewhere, so can we make this quick?
Mike Tyson is called the baddest man on
$100. The C2
The Money Music Business Conference.
Tip, we're going to be talking about Soundstage.
Still got scores to settle, man.
a good studio headphone should be able to tell you that these are sibilance. Unless it's only for monitoring purposes. In other words, if you're going to be using this for like critical editing, maybe not so much. So what I noticed, which is kind of interesting, it's almost like Beyerdynamic. It was like, so their last headphone, the DT990 and the DT770, has been getting a lot of flack in the past because people say, oh, it's got so much sharp peaks, it's so harsh. And so what they're doing is like, oh, we can't do that again. And so what they did was they went the other way. They're like, fuck this, we're going to make this more rounded. So sibilance is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Dude, even Drake is at 0. That means this is terrible for detecting sibilance. You will not know you are sibilance on this thing. This is definitely now geared more towards enjoyers rather than, I would say, critical editing. Or maybe solely only for monitoring with your audio, but I wouldn't count on these for critical editing. I would even go so far as to say, I know this is a harsh take, but I would even go so far as to say the AKG K371 is actually more accurate because it actually will let you know Drake is sibilance. He's a 0 on here. That's crazy. Okay, next what I did was I cranked up the volume by 25%. And then Mariah Carey was medium, like you can't tell she has sibilance. On the Tyson, DMS, and Lana, it's low, 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 medium. The You Don't Know EQ guy is low. And basically, just like you can't tell you have sibilance on here, which is, that's probably, I don't know, by design, right? So this is definitely going to be more appealing for mass audiences in general, and this is going to be good for monitoring. But if you have, let's say you're making a YouTube video and you're speaking and you have audio in a YouTube video, you're not going to know you have sibilance. You're going to have sibilance all over your audio. You're going to wear this and be like, I'm good to go. But it's like, no, you're not. Because I'll tell you right now, if you use something like an M50X and you listen, Drake will sound super sibilance. If you use the M7506, you will definitely hear, this will be like high on this. You know what I mean? Whereas this is all 0. So take that for what it is. Okay. Last thing I want to do is, monitoring. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to wear the headphones, and then I'm going to tell you how close it sounds to my voice, subjectively, and let you know what I think. So give me 1 second here. Alrighty, hello, testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. That's crazy. When I actually monitor with my audio, you know what my audio sounds like? My voice is deeper. It sounds like I'm speaking to a Shure SM7B. It sounds deeper. So that is what it's doing to all the vocals. It's making all the vocals sound a little bit deeper. I swear to God, all my vocals right now, when I play back and listen, this sounds like I'm speaking through a Shure SM7B. And in other words, it's warmer, darker, fuzzier, warmer. So, whereas, this is my headphone of choice. This sounds just like me though. This is a different headphone, MDR M1. Whereas these I'm wearing right now, these sound like sounds like I'm speaking to a Shure SM7B. So take that for what it is. That means that what it's doing to all vocals is adding God damn, that makes so much sense. It makes all the vocals sound like they're speaking through an SM7B. That's exactly what it does. So take that for what it is. And I think that's all I have. All right, you guys have a great day.